Magic mirror on the wall. What's the worst remake of them all?
It is.
After 88 years, Disney has finally come around to remaking their classic version of Snow White. It stars Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the evil queen.
Does anyone really want these remakes? I feel like it's always a big uproar and no one really likes them. They do usually make some pretty good money, so I guess I can see why Disney keeps pumping them out. I mean, all publicity is good publicity, and it really does show money-wise with these.
Snow White is a story with traces back to 1782. Though Disney didn't make their adaptation till 1937, it eventually ended up becoming Disney's highest grossing film in 1938 and was also the very first feature-length animated film, making over $8 million in its time.
Snow White was the highest grossing animated film for 55 years, and adjusted for inflation, technically it still is the highest grossing animated film, making over $2.2 billion.
And after 88 years, what do they make with their classic IP? This?
Sorry. Snow White. After just leaving the theater not so long ago, finishing the new Disney Snow White film, there's a couple of things that they've changed throughout the movie. Look, they have definitely made the runtime, I think they added an extra 30 minutes to it. Why? Honestly, I watched the original not too long ago, and that one did everything this did, but better in an about hour 20 mark. This one does it in an hour 50, and it does it worse. It felt like more things happened in the original film than in this one, which is kind of odd because you would think it should be the other way around. Longer runtime, better equipment. This is not a cartoon. This new Disney Snow White decides to do some creative differences and use a new kind of story. It doesn't even feel like the same story in some notes. I mean, it changes a couple of things that I asked why. The inclusion of the dwarves. They took them out the damn title. The dwarves really did not play as big of a part in this one, I would say, than compared to the other one. The animals, I mean, Snow White has like a superpower in the original. She just attracts animals nonstop throughout the entire movie. I mean, she really does feel like a superhero in the first one. And in this one, you rarely see her interacting with animals, and if you do, it's definitely nothing like the same magic that she has in that first film. The whole princess storyline as well, it just wasn't anywhere near as close as the princess storyline in the first film. I know they were trying to do maybe like a woman empowerment movement with this, showing Snow White didn't really need a man, but at the end of the day, in the first film, the prince was in it for like maybe 2 minutes. In this one, we meet her love interest, and he doesn't play the biggest role, but he's definitely evident. I mean, you see him throughout the film, which is a big difference. But he's not a prince in this one. That's a big thing. He is literally a thief. Gal Gadot and her evil queenness as well is a little bit different. She has some different scenes throughout the film, and honestly, they changed up a lot about her character. Would I say it's better than the original? Definitely not. But is it the worst? Also, no. Gal Gadot in general, I just don't really like her, I guess. She's probably a lovely lady, but she was not good as Wonder Woman at all. And she honestly was not good in this one. Just to me, Gal Gadot always has that same expression and that same tone of voice. I just can't take her seriously. Mark Webb just keeps getting crazy good IPs. It is honestly insane to me. I will never forgive him for The Amazing Spider-Man. That being said, did he do a terrible job with this? No, not at all. And I'm sure he probably has daughters and they love this IP, but just the creative differences they threw in this film just didn't make any sense to me. And it didn't add anything to the film. It really took away. The comedy in this one as well just wasn't good. Honestly, I was expecting more of a comedic story, just like in the original. It is quite funny, actually. The way they do things with the noises and the characters, the animals are hilarious. Throughout the whole film, comedy is a big thing, and this new one lacks that a lot. The music as well just wasn't as good as the first one, in my opinion. Maybe it's because they had way more songs in this, and again, I just don't like musicals, but still, I feel like the music also took a downgrade. They also didn't reuse all of the songs. They used the main ones, but they switched the places of what they were in, switched some words. They were just remaking it, which is fine, but at least remake it better. They kind of just remade it to remake it. I know some people had a problem with Rachel Zegler and her interviews throughout this whole tenure that she was Snow White. I don't see an issue with it. She was just trying to expressing her opinion, and again, she probably got paid heavily, so it's good that she got this part, and she did fine, honestly. Rachel Zegler has a great voice, but also, again, I just feel like no one gave this project as much importance as they should have, and this story just wasn't as respected as it could have been. This is one of Disney's most important IPs, and it kind of feels like they just didn't care. Is this the worst live action remake? No, absolutely not. But it kind of just felt off. The original is just so magical, honestly, and to be made in 1937, it's still fantastic now, to this day. This live action remake really isn't that. So, honestly, I would say Disney has made much better remakes. Honestly, The Jungle Book, to name one, Beauty and the Beast was alright. Even like Alice in the Wonderland, I was a fan of that one in 2010, even though the ratings are off, but still, like, you know, I felt like people cared about those. This one, I didn't feel any care from anyone, whether it was Gal Gadot and her lackluster performance as the evil queen, whether it was Mark Webb changing up the story or trying to make it his own story when it really didn't need it, or whether it was Rachel Zegler just trying to make Snow White a lot fiercer and stronger than what she was. Her character was just meant to be a very sweet, amazing princess that just got everything she needed because she was a kind person. If you have children, go watch this film, all right? If you are a big Disney fan, go watch it. Let me know what you think. If you want to watch it in 4D, that's what I did. But that being said, I gotta give Disney's Snow White a 6.7 out of 10. Definitely not their worst work, but also something that I wasn't just so wowed with. It didn't feel magical. It didn't feel like the original Snow White. It won't be making any kind of history with this one. This will be pretty forgettable in my opinion. All around decent performances, decent music, decent CGI even, but nothing amazing. And all around, this film just felt like no one cared enough for a really important IP in this one. So that being said, if you enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to take this dress off now, okay? Catch us on the next episode of the podcast, coming out every other Sunday. We have so many more films to watch the rest of this month, so we'll be reviewing those as we go. But let us know what you thought of Snow White. Did you love it? Did you hate it? All the comments or ideas, whatever you have, let us know down in the comment section, and we will see you next time.